Hey everybody, in this video we're going to read the next chapter of Enemy Spy. Chapter 18, A New Sidekick. I'm serious, dude, he whispered when I took a step back. I'd be good. He flexed an arm and grinned at me. I kind of look like the bouncer, don't you think? I was just staring at him, my mind going a million miles an hour. He knew. There was no doubt about it. Was Bubba Bixby as the bouncer? Bubba was the whole reason I put on the Shredderman mask in the first place. Now he wanted to be my sidekick? But what if I said no? What would he do then? Pound me? Or worse, unmask me? Bubba put down his arm and said, You're thinking this is a threat, aren't you? I just stared at him. Well, it's not, dude. I just think it'd be cool. I kept right on staring. My whole face felt frozen in place. He sighed. Man, you're thinking I'm gonna rat you off, aren't you? Well, I'm not the creep you think I am. And to prove it, I tell you what, whether you say it can be the bouncer or not, I ain't squealing. Now or ever. You got my word. His word? Bubba Bixby's word was about as good as a punctured ink cartridge. But I couldn't just keep standing there staring. I had to say something. Bubba had figured it out, and I could see he wasn't just guessing. He knew. But Bubba Bixby as a sidekick? I practically laughed out loud. It was just too ironic, paradoxical, totally unexpected, completely surprising. My face thawed into a little smile, and I heard myself whisper, I wasn't aware that you were big on truth and justice, but there does happen to be an opening. He pumped his arm and said, Yes. Then he whispered, And dude, I can totally get into truth and justice. Wait and see. I'm going to be the best. Hits were sneaking in closer. Oh, all right, Bubba said. He put on a poker face. I'm cool. I'm cool. Trinity was the first to say something. You okay, Nolan? Yeah, I said, and tossed a look at Bubba. Everything's cool, right? Absolutely. Bubba was grinning from ear to ear. Everything is way cool. Then he laughed and said, It's nifty, groovy, awesome. You might even say it's copacetic. Everyone busted up, and I knew they were laughing because Bubba was doing what I always do. But he wasn't really making fun of me. It was just funny. Copacetic, dude? Finney called. Can you spell that too? Yeah, man, Bubba called back. It's spelled Cool. Everyone laughed again. Then Trey came charging up, all out of breath. Hey guys, have you seen that crowd on the steps? It's like twice as big as it was before. We looked over, and wow, people seem to be pouring in from everywhere. Chatty Adams is going to be so ticked, Danielle said. Two other news vans just showed up. By the time half an hour was up, you couldn't even see the station steps. They were packed with people, cameras. Someone even set up a podium and put microphones around it. Then they rolled out some caution tape that we weren't allowed to cross. The place was buzzing with gossip. Cedar Valley had never seen anything like this. A lot more kids from school showed up too. Some with parents, some without. We kids all hung together, and pretty soon we were spotting teachers from our school. There's Mrs. Bernhardt, and Miss Sims. There's Miss Circuit. And look, there's Mr. Hoover, Marvin Spells cried. I tell you guys, janitor by day, Shredderman by night. That's why he's here. Don't be a doof, Mike McDermott told him. Miriam interrupted them. Look, there's Dr. Voss. Even our principal is here. Half an hour grew into an hour. Shadi Adams spent half her time yelling into her cell phone and the other half snapping at Roy and her cameraman. She was trying to keep people away from her area, and boy, was she being mean. Then I got an idea, and I started wondering, was the news camera like the video camera we had at home? I couldn't see a power source. Did it run on batteries? Shadi's cameraman was standing pretty close to her. His camera was resting on the pavement by his feet. I snuck over. If only I had an invisibility cloak. Or a magic Aztec wristband. If only I could get in close enough to. Shadi noticed me and yelled, "Scram! You hear me? Get away from this area! You have no business being here whatsoever! I said scram!" Drat. How was I ever going to? Then I noticed that the guy from another news station had a camera just like Chatty's. I inched my way over to it. He was holding it by its handle alongside his leg. "Pretty cool rig, huh?" he said when he saw me checking it out. "Sure is. Looks heavy, though." He shrugged. "You get used to it." "How's it powered? Batteries?" "Yup." He hefted it and pointed. "Right here." "That's it? That powers his whole camera?" "Well, the battery goes way inside." He pressed the lever and pulled it out. "See? It was big. And then when this one gets low, it's got a backup right here." He popped the backup off the camera where it was stored. "See? 2 seconds is all it takes to swap them, and I'm good to go." "Wow," I told him. "That is one cool camera." He let me look it over for a minute, so I said, "Thanks for being so nice." He grinned and said, "No problem." He shot a look at Shadi and dropped his voice. "Besides, I know how that prima donna was treating you. Believe me, she's not anyone's favorite." Just then, the police station door opened. A man in a suit and tie came out. A man in a uniform came out right behind him. Was that Sergeant Clubb? It was. Photographers all around hoisted their cameras. All the reporters jock-eyed for position. The men from the station were moving slowly toward the podium. I raced over to Bubba and whispered, "I need your help." I pulled him over to the side. "That's the bouncer?" he whispered. I nodded. "See Chatty's cameraman?" He looked over at him. "Yeah? I need you to bump him. Hard." "Want me to bring him down?" Bubba whispered. "I can land that dude easy." "No, just distract him so I can pop the battery pack out of his camera." "But why? There's all these other news guys over here." Why did my sidekick always argue with me? I frowned at him. Miss Chatty Adams is not here for truth and justice. She's here for herself. He nodded slowly and said, "Got it." But I could tell he didn't. "Besides," I whispered as we hurried over, "didn't you hear her call you fatso back there?" "Hey, that's right. You think I'm gonna let someone call my sidekick fatso?" For a second his face went blank. Then a light seemed to come on inside him. He grinned at me and said, "Dude, you really do shred." And with that, Bubba Bixby charged.